All right, folks, I am going to show you just kind of a basic overview of how to use Edpuzzle. So once you log in using your Google login, your school Google, the first thing you should probably do is get your settings set up. So if you go to the little icon, it'll probably just be like a gray person at first. I changed mine. And click on your name. You will have this settings page come up. Your profile is, you don't need to do anything to that, but you might want to upload a photo if you wish, like I did with this jazzy little math photo here. Under settings, one thing you should probably make sure that you select is the prevent skipping, so that your kids can't just skip through the video and skip any questions. I leave the closed captioning off, but I do, as I record them, put it as an option. If any of my students want to turn that on, they can do that. So that's kind of the main setting. Your school should be all set up. You should be a pro school so that you can make a ton of Edpuzzles. But just the main thing I would say is click or turn on the prevent skip. Then you are going to want to upload your classes. Now you can see I have some classes here yet from last year, which I will show you how to delete in a second, but I am going to add a new class, and you want to have this from Google Classroom. So make sure you have all of your classes set up in Google Classroom before you start working with Edpuzzle. So I click on Google Classroom, and then everything that's in my Google Classroom shows up here. And I am going to add my fake class 101 that I set up for this very reason and import that class. So then you will see that that shows up, and I've got my two students here, and you have some assignments. We'll talk about that later. If you have a class that you want to get rid of, if you click on class options, you can delete that class. And if you make a mistake, you can delete a class, whatever you need to do. All right, so that's how you get your classes. Now let's say you want to assign a video to your class. There's a couple ways you can do this. If you're going in like, YouTube or Khan Academy or anything like that, and you find a video that you like, that you know you want to make an Edpuzzle for, you can just go up here and copy the address and then go to Edpuzzle and paste it and click search. And this is that video. You'll see it's the same one. And then once you have the video, you can choose to shorten the video. You just drag it to cut the video to maybe just a portion that you like. You can do a voiceover if it's your own video. You'll see that it won't allow you if it's somebody else's that you're borrowing. So if you have your own video, then you can do this. And then adding questions, which can be multiple choice, open-ended, or just a note. And we will talk about that in a little bit. So I've saved this. I'm going to hit finish. And I'm going to go back to the home page of Edpuzzle, which I just clicked on. Also, you can use or search anything in Edpuzzle itself. You'll see it will look at all of these different resources, but let's say I want to find rounding to the nearest 10th. Oops, I can spell. And a bunch of videos will come up from lots of different resources, and you can find one that you like. One thing to notice is this will be just straight up a video. So the kids would just watch it. You can see how many minutes they spent. So obviously they should spend 2 minutes and 3 seconds watching it for this video. If they only spent a minute, they didn't watch the whole thing. If you see this little arrow and a number, that means that there are questions and notes already made in this video. So sometimes you might want to just use somebody else's assignment. You can see what the questions are. You click on it, it'll show what the questions are for each of them, and you can decide to just use somebody else's. Okay, you can also search looking at specific curriculum, like I am middle school, math, and then specifically algebra, and I can look into a bunch of different topics. You can look at your school, so I am at East. I can look at anybody that made and saved at East. You'll see all these different people that are East teachers that made these videos last year and prior. And that's great for sharing with your cohort as far as making videos and sharing videos and Edpuzzles with each other. And then you will have my content. That is everything that you have made and assigned. And again, you can see the length, you can see how many questions, and then make your title. One thing I am going to do that I did not do prior is I am going to make sure I'm labeling my titles of my Edpuzzles all the same. I think what I'm going to do is label it with the number of the lesson first, and then I can go and sort by name, and it'll be easier to find. I didn't do that, so now I have to scroll through a lot, which is super annoying. So I am going to start making it more of a systematic way to title them so that they are easier to find. Oh, something I screwed up that I learned from. Okay, so you have a bunch of different ways to find videos, using your own videos, whatever. Now, if I want to make a video, let's say adding improper fractions, I found this one and saved it earlier. And I want to edit it now. I found this on YouTube. I want to edit the video. So I'm back to this screen where I could shorten it.
For this problem, I want to show you guys how.
And then I am going to add some questions. So you can watch the video.
When you're dealing with improv.
And once you get to a certain spot, let's say you want to add a multiple choice question, click on that. I'm going to put, what do you think the answer to this addition problem is? And then you can put a couple choices. You could put 14/10. Now that's wrong, so I'm going to mark that as wrong. This would be, yes, that's the correct answer. This is the wrong answer. I'm going to put in the right answer here. It would be 14/5. And then I can add more. I can have multiple correct answers. Let's say somebody said it was 2 4/5. That would be okay as well. And then I would hit save.
A fraction.
And it gives you a little preview of what is okay. And you can just hit continue. So that is adding. Another thing you can add is notes. So right after that, you'll notice one of the answers, the incorrect one, added the denominators. So I'm going to put a note here. Be sure to keep the denominator the same. Do not add them. So just a reminder. So if they got it wrong, they have kind of a little reminder of what would be the correct way to go about it. Okay? You can continue to add. You can continue to add as many as you want. You can have open-ended questions. Those you're going to have to go back and look at the answers yourself and mark them as correct. So those take a little bit longer for grading, whereas the multiple choice questions, it grades itself. And I'm going to hit finish, and it's ready to go. Now you can see where my notes and questions show up. And then I want to assign this to my students. So I'm going to go in and choose my fake class, which is in Google Classroom already. I am going to start it tomorrow at 8 a.m. So let's say I want to start it, make an assignment for tomorrow. And then I want it due Friday by midnight. I'm going to hit save on that. You do not have to put a due date. So if you're being very flexible on when it can be completed, just leave the due date blank if you want people to be able to turn it in and you want it to be flexible. Prevent skipping is on. If I want, I can turn on the CC closed captioning for this particular assignment, and I want it to post in Google Classroom. It will launch in Google Classroom at the same time you put for the start date up here. And then you click assign. And then you will be on a page that shows what percent they watched, when they last watched it, and obviously none of these students have done that yet. You can also look at it by question. Nobody has answered the question yet, but I will show you a video of an old class so you can see what that all looks like. Okay? All right, back to Edpuzzle. There's a couple things up here. I'm in the content page right now, which I already talked about. But if I go to Gradebook, I can see grades from students. These are from last year, and you can see it's color-coded with red, yellow, and then your green scores. You can see any students that skipped the video, so they did not answer the questions or they did not watch the entire video. If you would like to see just a specific assignment, let's go to this one. You can look at just that assignment and the scores for that. If you would like to see what questions a student got wrong, you can see it by the timeline of the video, and you can scroll down and look question by question. So this is the one that is wrong. You can then talk to that student about the different types of functions and figure out what their misunderstanding is for those. So you can look by student, you can look by individual lesson, or you can look by the entire class, a running gradebook. If you're looking for a specific date, you just start edit your start date. Let's say I want it later. I want something between the 10th and the 12th. Oh, obviously I didn't assign anything there. The 10th and the 31st. 10th to 31st. 10th, due date, 31st. Save. Oh, I'm in August. That's why. I didn't assign anything in August. April 1st, let's say due date, April 30th, and save. So then you can see anything in the month of April or how they did on that. Okay. All right. So that is where you can look into your gradebook and you can look at your results, figure out how your students are doing. Obviously, if you have a lot of yellows and reds on a certain subject, you might need to revisit it and maybe see if you need to remake your video. All right. I think that is it. Thank you very much.